Why build a new road when the old one is broken? The question is a fair one. Why is the Nigerian government centered at Aso Rock spending money on new solar projects when the existing national power grid is still failing everyone? Every day, homes and businesses suffer from blackouts. It feels wrong for the government to ignore the huge, obvious problem, the broken grid, to pursue a new technology. This public frustration is completely understandable. It looks like the government is chasing a shiny new project instead of doing the hard, necessary work. But there is a deeper strategic reason for this choice, the hidden why. Imagine the national power grid as an old, congested, and poisoned highway. It's impossible to repair because the people who control the toll booths, the discos, refuse to cooperate. And the repair crew, the government, would have to shut down the entire country for years to fix the underlying structural damage. The government's shift to solar is an escape plan. It's a strategy to completely bypass the old, corrupted, and financially impossible system. By focusing on new, clean, separate solar projects, Aso Rock is building a reliable bypass road to deliver power to key areas without having to fight the endless, unwinnable political and economic battles of the old grid. This analysis breaks down the 5 core reasons this bypass became the only realistic way forward. The old grid is a financial black hole. The first reason Aso Rock can't easily fix the old system is simple. The national grid is financially bankrupt. It's trapped in a deadly cycle of debt and decay, and no amount of simple repair can solve the root problem. The problem starts with massive power loss. When electricity is generated and sent across the country's old, tired transmission lines, about 40% to 50% of it is lost. This loss happens in 2 ways. Technical loss. Power leaks out as heat because the wires and equipment are old and inefficient. Commercial loss. Power is stolen through illegal connections, or the distribution companies, discos, simply fail to accurately bill customers for the power they use. This massive leakage means the companies generating the power, GenCos, never get enough money back to cover their costs, let alone upgrade their equipment. The discos also don't collect enough revenue to fix their side of the network or install new meters. This creates a financial black hole. No business can survive losing half its product. To truly fix this, the government would have to spend trillions of naira to replace every wire, substation, and meter in the country. A project too huge and too slow to be politically feasible. Instead of pouring endless money into a sinking debt-ridden system, Aso Rock is choosing solar, a technology that allows new projects to be built with a clean financial slate. Solar installations are cheaper to maintain, have lower operational costs, and crucially, can be managed locally without the inherited debt of the old utility companies. It is a financial reset button. The political blockade on vested interests. The second and most powerful reason the government avoids fixing the old grid is the political resistance from powerful groups that profit from the darkness and chaos. Trying to reform the grid means starting a politically costly war. Aso Rock knows that the biggest resistance comes from vested interests. People and organizations whose huge profits depend on the grid remaining unstable. This includes the diesel generator cartels. The companies that import and supply diesel fuel and generators make fortunes every time the national power fails. If the power supply suddenly became stable, the demand for generators would crash and the profits would vanish. These groups use their considerable influence to ensure the grid remains unreliable. The discos, distribution companies. Many of these privatized companies have failed to invest in infrastructure and metering as promised. If the government tries to force them to upgrade or attempts to revoke their licenses, they fight back fiercely with court cases and political pressure, creating endless delays. To attempt a massive countrywide overhaul of the old grid would require the government to directly confront these politically powerful groups, tying up energy policy and political goodwill for years with lawsuits and scandals. By choosing the solar bypass, Aso Rock avoids this fight altogether. They are building new power sources outside the control of the existing discos and generator cartels, effectively making these powerful resistant groups irrelevant to the new energy future. It is a strategic retreat from an unwinnable political battle. The magnet of global green finance.
The third major incentive, and perhaps the largest financial driver, is the immense pool of global funding dedicated solely to clean energy.
Today, international organizations like the World Bank and major private investment funds are committed to fighting climate change. They have dedicated trillions of dollars for green finance. This money is offered on extremely favorable terms, low interest rates and long repayment periods, but only for projects that use solar, wind, or other renewables.
Compare the two options for Aso Rock.
Fixing the old grid, asking for a loan to repair an old polluting gas plant or lossy transmission lines is seen as a high-risk investment. Lenders charge high interest rates and the money is hard to get. Building solar. Asking for a loan to build a solar farm that powers a whole region is seen as a low-risk, climate-friendly investment. Lenders are eager to fund it, offering cheaper money and faster approvals. Aso Rock needs massive capital to solve Nigeria's power deficit. And the easiest, fastest, and cheapest way to get that capital is through this global green finance window. The government's focus on solar is a direct response to this global financial reality. It is the only way to fund large-scale infrastructure without putting an impossible burden on the country's national budget or accumulating expensive conventional debt. Quick wins versus decades of delay. The fourth reason is pure political reality. Aso Rock needs fast, visible results. Politicians operate on 4-year election cycles, and grid repairs simply take too long to deliver a noticeable benefit. Fixing the old national grid is an enormous technical undertaking that requires years of preparation, tendering, ordering parts from overseas, and fighting local disputes. The average citizen would likely not see a real improvement in their power supply for 10 to 15 years. No politician can run for re-election on a promise that might be fulfilled in the next decade. The solar approach is the perfect political solution. Fast delivery. A dedicated solar mini-grid powering a university campus or a remote cluster of villages can be installed and activated in 6 to 18 months. Visible impact. When the switch is flipped, the facility or community receives 24/7 reliable power, completely separate from the national collapse. This result is immediate, tangible, and highly visible. This allows the government to demonstrate competence and progress much faster than if they waited for the slow, painful process of grid overhaul. Solar projects are clean, easy to inaugurate, and provide immediate evidence that the government is solving the energy crisis, making them a powerful tools for short-term political success. The strategy of resilience and equity. The final reason is strategic. Solar is the best way to achieve national resilience and energy equity for all citizens.
The centralized grid is inherently fragile. A failure in one state can shut down the entire nation, a system collapse. The decentralized solar strategy, however, creates an archipelago of power, thousands of independent power islands. If one solar mini-grid fails, only that local area is affected. The rest of the nation keeps its lights on. This guarantees stability for critical services like hospitals and universities. Furthermore, the old centralized grid was designed to only serve major cities and commercial hubs. It is too expensive and complex to extend to the millions of people in remote rural communities. Solar changes this entirely. The mini-grid model offers the quickest, cheapest, and most practical way to bring reliable power to every Nigerian, fulfilling the promise of universal energy access.
By focusing on solar, Aso Rock ensures that power access becomes more resilient, secure, and equitable. The solar bypass is not just about producing power, it's about de-risking the entire nation from the single point of failure that has plagued Nigeria for decades. The strategic retreat. The hidden why is a story of strategic necessity. Aso Rock's pivot to solar is not a failure of will to fix the old grid, but a rational decision to escape an impossible situation. They recognize that the existing system is too politically corrupted, financially bankrupt, and technically decayed to be fixed quickly. Instead of engaging in an endless, unwinnable war against powerful vested interests and outdated infrastructure, the government chose to build a parallel, clean, and financially viable solution. The solar strategy allows the government to avoid political and legal resistance, unlock billions of dollars in cheap global funding, deliver fast, visible results, build a truly resilient and equitable energy future for all Nigerians. This focus on the solar bypass is a strategic move to secure the nation's energy future by making the chaotic past irrelevant.